So guys, welcome back to another video, and this is something I say a bit different. One of my last videos was on the MLS, and this is a channel that I'm obsessed with. It's called Tifo Football. I look at a lot of their videos in my own time, but I've never seen this one, and there's probably a few videos I haven't seen because the stuff that I usually see is usually related to like Premier League or like European soccer, and I'm interested in this because it's actually something that I'm not too sure about. Like, why doesn't MLS have promotion and relegation? My initial sort of thought on this would probably be because it's trying to sort of emulate the NBA or just any basically NFL, MLB, all the American sports, like the big American sports in America, like I just said. But I don't know if that's the case, and I don't know if that's completely wrong. I don't know, but like, that's just it really. But like, it is something that intrigues me because especially in Europe, like relegation and promotion is probably what keeps the leagues fresh in terms of like, you don't just see the same teams, you see new teams, and some of the new teams go on to be really good. For example, people who are up to date with the sport will know of like Leicester, the story of Leicester. They were a team that they were known to be sometimes in the Premier League, but in recent history they were sort of a League One, a Championship team, which is the second or third division. The Premier League is the first, and they went on. And their first season in the league, they were terrible. Like, I say terrible. They were like any sort of promoted side that would usually be. They were fighting and scrapping to the bitter end. They just managed to sort of stay up. The next season, they won the league. And I can still remember, it's the craziest sporting thing that I've ever witnessed, to be honest, because it was absolutely it was just stupid how they did it. And I'm speaking like this for people who maybe aren't up to date or don't really follow soccer like that. I know there's a lot of people who probably do watch these videos that know what I'm talking about, but it's just like one of those things, relegation and promotion, it leads to some really exciting moments. But I'm intrigued to see why it isn't the case in the MLS, and I'm really wanting to sort of do more MLS videos. People are really enjoying them, and it blows my mind that people do, because I didn't know there was that sort of interest of like US soccer fans to see like the perspective from someone from the UK or from Europe. But I'm here for that because I do love the sport so much, and I do know a bit of it. I'm going to be honest, probably because of FIFA. Like, I know a lot of the big players and stuff like that, but I do want to know more, like, and maybe I'll start watching it as well. Like, I've seen clips here and there. Like, I've seen moments from like Rooney scoring a halfway goal. I've seen the Zlatan goals. Like, I've seen some of the goals, but I don't think I've ever watched an individual game. So maybe that will come if people want that to happen. But sorry for rambling. This has probably been a very long intro. Let's check this out and see why. Again, this is a crazy channel. I really enjoy this. For those who haven't watched this before, I highly suggest it because there's some really good in-depth videos. But let's check this out and see what this is about. His voice is so soothing.
Perhaps one of the most unique aspects of Major League Soccer is the single entity structure. In essence, no team can be promoted or relegated from MLS in the traditional sense. Rather, new teams buy into the league, just as Minnesota,
which just pauses tone down a little bit,
and Atlanta United did earlier this year.
Okay, so this video is 3 years old, so obviously there's now Inter Miami, there's LAFC, there's Nashville, there's a few more teams. Sorry if I forget your team. There's been a few teams added, and there's more coming actually, and I love that. I do love that side of it.
A single entity is very in keeping
shows it's growing
with American
in
sports.
the country, man.
Baseball, basketball, and NFL all operate in this way.
Entity.
It remains a contentious issue when it comes to soccer. As a nation, the US currently has 3 major professional soccer leagues:
Wait, really?
MLS, NASL, and USL Pro.
I didn't even know that. I thought the MLS was the only league. That's really like taking me back. I did not realise that.
They are not linked in the traditional sense, but they are classified as differing divisions. MLS is considered the first division, while NASL and USL Pro share second division status granted to them by the soccer governing body. USL had previously been considered Division 3, but this was changed in 2017 following a petition by the league. Although the US does not have promotion and relegation, discourse on the matter remains intense. A study last year, commissioned by Silva International Investments, whose head, Ricardo Silva, owns Miami FC in NASL, found that 88% believe that, quote, pro-rel would boost American club soccer. Advocates for the introduction of pro-rel suggest that not only would it aid sporting integrity, but it would generate billions for the US soccer economy. A report from Deloitte released around the same time as Silver's international study claimed that reworking the soccer pyramid to introduce promotion and relegation could stimulate changes that would benefit the sport top to bottom. I do think that for the game to realise its full potential in the US, promotion and relegation feels like part of the solution, said Dan Jones of Deloitte's Sports Business Group. However, any change requires the agreement of MLS, who currently accept new teams after a lengthy process of lobbying which includes a detailed business plan. Although the approach seems alien, it was a direct consequence of the landscape in the early 90s. MLS was the byproduct of the US's '94 World Cup bid, in which they committed to starting a professional domestic league. The organisers of MLS, both in alignment with the domestic tradition and in order to generate financing, adopted the American closed league model with a twist. Rather than buying specific teams, investors would take a stake in the league as a whole.
So they've sort of bought into the league as well. So that's probably a stipulation as to why they can't do it then.
In turn controlled all of the teams. Those same owners have subsidised the top division in America for years on the understanding they were buying into a closed system. Was this to change, their investments would be unstable. Furthermore, few lower division...
Sorry, the camera's covering this. I can't really help that. I apologise for that, though. It's investments. It's not much here, to be fair.
Clubs have the infrastructure to suddenly support top-level football or even something resembling that. NASL has attempted to rival MLS, but the league's financial instability has made that difficult to achieve, with Minnesota leaving to join MLS and Ottawa and Tampa joining USL Pro. A report as recent as late July claimed MLS spurned a $4 billion media rights deal offered by Silver, which demanded the installation of promotion relegation.
Jesus!
As was stated to Silver both in person and in a subsequent letter, Major League Soccer is prohibited contractually from engaging in discussions about our media rights with other distributors. We are not in a position, nor are we interested in, engaging with Mr. Silver on his proposal. That was followed by a joint proposal by Miami FC and Kingston Stockade, a club based in northern New York, in which they filed a claim with the Court of Arbitration for Sport to require the US Soccer Federation to adopt promotion and relegation across all divisions in US soccer, the outcome of which is still to be decided.
And this is 3 years back
Although
as well.
promotion and relegation is not impossible to implement in the US, it looks unlikely to be adopted at the top level in the near future. The consequence of cultural and financial situations, it will no doubt continue to cause discussion in soccer circles across the nation.
That is interesting then. And it's crazy that this was sort of the opinion 3 years ago. Is anything there? Oh, just everything there. It's interesting how this was like an opinion, these sort of conversations were like 3 years ago, and I assume probably like 5, 6, maybe longer, like probably like 20, probably since the league started, to be honest. And it's still a topic for conversation. I personally, obviously, something that I'm used to, I think relegation and promotion, it would probably spark my interest in the league. Like, I don't know, something about it really, I do really enjoy, but I see why, because they probably see the success of the NBA, the NHL, the NFL, the MLB. They see the successes of how their models are, and they probably think if we can get it to that level, they probably would compete. Like, again, if they get to the level of the NBA, they'll be competing with like the Premier League, I can't think of leagues now, La Liga, Bundesliga, and in terms of in certain areas they are already competing. Like in terms of like attendances, like it's high. Like they've got certain areas like financially they've got like very sort of like I don't know where they rank, but they've got to rank like top 5, top 10 like already, and the fact that they're still building to improve it. You never know, maybe the MLS model will work for them, but I just think it's integral to have that in soccer. I don't know, maybe that's just me closed-mindedly looking at it. But what are your guys' opinions on this? Because I'm actually really intrigued to see what people from the US think. Like, are they pro-relegation? Are they pro-promotion relegation? Or, I mean, I guess there probably are people on both sides that probably like how it is, or they actually would like change in terms of promotion and relegation. Let's see the comments. Isn't pro-rel perfectly American? If you can compete, you will. If you can't, you won't. If you succeed, you will be rewarded. If you fail, you'll be punished. If you have money and or dream and you work hard at it, you can rise from the bottom to the top, reach your full potential, and grow your brand. Survival of the fittest. Now what's more American than that concept? The MLS will never be anything than a retirement home for promotion and relegation. Without promotion and relegation, that could be a shout. Maybe just in terms, like, I feel like they can still build it, but because I mean, some people just, the thought of moving to the US, it's a dream, isn't it? Like, some people just love the idea of that, so I can see that as well. But I mean, we are seeing with certain teams, like, they're now they're getting a lot of sort of younger players, and they're sort of selling them on to Europe, which will help build their sort of success there as well. But like for example, was it LA Galaxy? They signed that Christian Pavon a few years ago, and I remember he was like a target for a lot of like top European clubs at one point. So I look at that, and he's not an old player. He's like a player, I don't know how he's doing now, but he was like held in pretty high regard. And there's other sort of circumstances, and at the same time, you see like players like Miguel Almiron, who went to Newcastle. He like obviously was a product from the US, and I think previously from like another league. He was bought for a low fee, sold for a big fee, and I don't see why they couldn't continuously do that until they reach a level where they can sort of hold their own and keep these players. But that's something for another. That's a topic for another conversation. But I do really like these. I like having this chat. I mean, this is probably something that, or not probably, this is something that I know that I can sort of talk on without sounding too stupid. I think, like, I can't say the stuff like when it's the NBA or the NFL, because I know I'm not educated enough to really talk. But like when I do, hopefully I can have those sort of arguments as well to make our leagues and our country as a whole more competitive in football soccer. Promotion relegation needs to happen. Plus, it could be a means to introduce even lower tiers that will increase our youth development systems. That's true actually, because like lower leagues do help with like youth, etc., and would probably help with the national team. But saying that, the US national team is looking nice, man. There's been a transfer today with like, is it the US right back, Dest? He's gone to Barcelona. You got Pulisic, you got Weston McKennie. Yeah, there's this player who signed for the city that I'm in called Norwich. I don't know if he's like a promising star, but you're getting these US players now like all over Europe, and there's some in the US as well. I mean, it's looking more promising than it was a few years back. I'm telling you that for sure. You've got some promising stars coming through. I'm excited to see how you guys do over the 10, 20 years, because if you can get it right, there's no reason why the US couldn't be like a top club in international football, because you've got all the resources. It's just sort of setting it up and trying to sort of set everything up right, I guess you could say, and just perfecting it. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this reaction. Something a bit different, but I'm down to do more of this. I mean, people seem to be enjoying these kinds of MLS reactions, and I'm down to do more. This isn't the sort of video that everyone likes to see, but it seems like a core group of people really enjoy these. And if you did, please leave a like and suggest again like more things you'd like to see. But yeah, until next time, like, subscribe, peace.